Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have a special stream on why are we here? And I'm hoping to turn this into a regular thing and do this like either every month or every other month and get a different group on every time to talk about why are we activists? Why are we making videos? Why are we doing this? And so today, for our first time on trying this, I have Godless Engineer.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
And I have Susan Turpin, Divine Disbelief.
Hi. My better half is joining me here in a sec. So
yep, and Susan's husband is on his way as well. And so while we're waiting for him, let's start with John. And John, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel and what it is you do?
Well, I have a channel, Godless Engineer, and basically I respond to videos on different topics. Like most recently that I used to purge my channel a little bit was politics and about Trump people reacting to losing the election, which they're still in denial about. But there was that, and then election conspiracies. But most of the time I do religion stuff. I respond to religious videos, arguments against atheism and arguments for religion. I cover those. So it's really kind of a mixed bag over there, just pretty much surrounding atheism, wherever that kind of intersects with things. So yeah, that's what I do over on Godless Engineer.
Okay, very good. And as you know, my channel is a little bit of a lot of different things. I do mostly religion, and I do a lot of videos that are very similar to Godless Engineer, response videos to people who put out religious content. But I also like to talk about other things as well. I like to talk about transgender people and transgender issues because I am a trans parent. And I also like to debate, and I've done one debate on modern day debates, and I've done one debate with conspiracy cats. And I am looking forward to doing more debating as well, especially debating with theists. I've had some theists on for panel discussions, but I'd like to debate a theist at some point. I like talking about women's issues. They interest me as well, which is how I got to meet Susan, because we did a panel on abortion, and Susan has some good information on that. And so now I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your channel.
So I'm Susan. I will let Nathaniel introduce himself. So we are Divine Disbelief. There we go. We cover secular news and opinion. We've been doing a lot of political stuff lately, election and all things of that nature. We have sort of gotten into some of the social justice stuff, which we've gotten a little pushback from random people on YouTube. But we are both activists, much like y'all, and Nathaniel is pretty much the brains of the channel.
Well, our channel is screwed.
Does that make you the brawn, Susan?
Yes, very much so. I'm small, but I am mighty. What about you?
Me, I've been active for a number of years now. Not just social justice, obviously, part of the Black Lives Matter movement, certainly, as well as LGBTQ plus movement, stuff like that. Susan actually organized more than me last year. And GE knows about this. The let's go protest outside of a church in Fort Worth, and they were not fans of us, but that was okay. There were more of us than them. Pushing for one of the biggest things that I've pushed for in recent years and Susan has certainly been a part of this as well, has been for the need for required comprehensive sex education in the state of Texas, which is where we were before we came to Oregon. More than that, giving people access to the ballot box. I'm very involved politically. I've worked on campaigns, and access to a ballot box as well as reason to go there. And education is more important than anything, and that's what for us, like the biggest issues. So,
okay. So now that we've told you a little bit about what we're doing here, now let's go into the big question is why? Why are we here? And John, I'll let you start again. Why are you an activist? Why do you make videos?
Well, when I first left faith, I didn't really have a lot of places to turn to. Mainly, it was pretty much just online, like Facebook at the time was where kind of I started off at. And with that, on Facebook, you're really connected to family and other people that you really know in real life and everything. And so they really didn't like my views. And so I, created a Facebook page and I started posting like all of my anti-religious kind of ideas and thoughts there. And it just kind of snowballed from there. But, ultimately I just wanted to be a really good, a really good voice that people could listen to and not be so afraid to speak up on their own. Because I know that was one thing that kind of held me back was, if I say this, then I'm probably going to lose some family members. I was just lucky at that point. Like, I was just like, fuck it. If I lose them, I'll lose them. And so, I just sort of, made my opinions known. And I don't want other people to feel like they need to hide themselves. And the tagline for my channel is stand up and use your voice, because I want to inspire people to have, the kind of courage that it takes to stand up and use your voice against the religious majority that exists in at least the United States. And, that does exist elsewhere too, not necessarily majority, but still the religious, people that are religious and think that only religious people should be allowed to talk, that kind of thing. There's plenty of people all over the world that kind of seem to feel that way. So I really just wanted to be a very inspirational voice for people to be like, oh, if this hick can do it, I can do it too, kind of thing. And so that's kind of where I'm focused at, like with my channel and why I do what I do.
You've definitely succeeded as far as I'm concerned, because you're the whole reason that I even have a YouTube channel. I started thinking about doing it, and I heard you saying stand up and use your voice. And I happen to be very fortunate because John happens to live in the same city that I do. So I took John and Caitlin out to dinner and asked him, how do you get started? What do you need? And he told me what to do to get started. And that's how I was able to get started. And I've been standing up and using my voice as a result.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that, because that's really awesome to hear. I'm so, and I've gotten other messages from people where they said that I've inspired them too, but you're the first one that I've actually met, like in real life, that you said, well, yeah, your tagline there really meant something to me. So I'm really happy that I was able to have such a positive impact on your life.
Thank you. So Susan, why do you do what you do?
Well, like you were saying, I don't just do atheist activism related stuff. I'm really focused on a lot of repro justice stuff too. It all got started because a friend of mine asked me one year, it was back in 2012, she was like, hey, I'm doing this bowl-a-thon, we're raising money for abortion funds, do you want to help out? And I was like, yes, I do. I've always really loved fundraising stuff and reaching out and helping people and stuff. So that was really what got me started in the whole repro justice stuff. And then it just sort of all spiraled out of control from there. I've raised money for NNAF, or National Network of Abortion Funds, a number of years in a row. Didn't get to do it this year. Sadly, I think they just, they didn't do in-person bowl-a-thons and stuff. But
are you a decent bowler?
I've broken 100 twice in my life.
I've never been bowling. Oh no, yeah, we did. We went last year for the Christmas thing.
The
yeah,
party,
we didn't really bowl, drink or anything.
Yeah, I think that's part of bowling, though. It's just drinking. And funnily enough, when we were back in Texas, in addition to doing that, with the atheist activism stuff, Nathaniel and I used to be really involved with American Atheists, and we did a lot of the comprehensive sex ed stuff through them.
Yep.
And like I said, I've always really liked helping people, and I've always loved using my voice, like G was saying, stand up and use your voice. I like using what I have in order to make sure that people are not as downtrodden as they should be. If that makes sense.
They currently are.
Yeah, as they currently are. Yeah.
I was going to say, how downtrodden should people be?
Yeah, well, I mean, not at all, realistically. That's a good point. Yeah. Right, yeah.
So Nate, how about you? Yeah, why do you do this?
First off, let me say that I am humbled every single day because I get to say that the person that's most important to me in my life is a young lady that does not yet, in my opinion, realize the full potential that she has. And
Wait, who is she?
Yep, that's and I actually wrote down one day and everything, and I said that I look forward to the time when Susan is like, when I'm able to really, really, really be in the shadows and watch how transformative you can be. And I've already seen it, actually. I do this because I do what I do, and because I'm able to, by waking up in the morning, take part in a system that's built for me to succeed at the expense of others, and I hate that. I have a visceral reaction to it, and it is a truth that exists regardless of ideology or opinion. And if I don't speak out against something today because I don't know, I feel a little tired. Now, when is the next time I'm going to get out and do something is the question that I have. Or if I don't, how can I expect others to? And they say that the phrase, everything, be the change you want to see, and all that. It's a real thing. And what I want to do is what I mentioned to Susan the other day. I want to see more men and women of color, more LGBTQ people, more non-religious people in places of visibility, specifically, of course, in Congress. We talked about that the other day. That was driving up to Vancouver, and that was like, for me, I was just like cheering this thing on, and I was like, you notice there's like one common thread with all these, these great people who we're putting into office, and I'm like, and this is the reason that I do that, so that it's not just made for me, because it shouldn't be just made for me. The system is not broken right now. It's working the way that they intended it to, and so, in my opinion, it needs to be broken, and that's why. And if that takes, breaking a few eggs, well, I'm here for it.
That reminds me of something that I thought was really eye-opening when I was looking over some quotes of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because one of the things that she said was, you love RBG too, huh? Oh, that's right. You've got the bobblehead. Yes, I remember you showing me that one other time.
I knocked her off a little bit ago, but I'm sorry, Ruth. It's okay. It's okay.
But one of the things that, she was asked, what if she felt like now that there were 4 women on the Supreme Court that, that the work of equality was done. And she said, no, I want to see 9 women on the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And the reporter that was talking to her was really surprised. What do you mean 9 women? Why would we need 9 women? She said, well, we had 9 men for over a century. What's wrong with 9 women?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that was really a novel idea to me. To me, I felt like the reporter did that. As soon as we get an even number there, we've done our work. But no, what's wrong with having all women or all Black people or all Mexican people or all LGBTQ people? You know, if we can have all white men, we can have all of a different demographic.
Yes, and we should. Representative. It's a representative government. It should represent the people that live here, regardless of even statehood or nationhood. And it currently does not. And that's for me. That's why. That's why I do those like big time. I'm not going to stop until it's done. Well, it won't be done in my lifetime, but
not in my lifetime. Well, you're a lot younger than I am.
I've aged well. That's almost an insult to say that she hasn't. That's not what I'm meaning.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way. I took it to mean that you felt like you were close to my age, but actually I would be willing to bet that I have a child your age.
Well, if you do, then I'm certain that it's a person that we, if they took your tutelage, that we can look up to. So I appreciate what you do.
Well,
I'm serious.
Yes, he is. For me, my channel's motto is live your life. And I chose that one because one of the biggest things that I felt when I left the faith was I was missing my life. I had spent decades of my life concentrating on how do I please God? How do I please other people? And I still today have a hard time even walking into a grocery store and thinking, what do I want? And thinking about myself. And I have a hard time living my own life. And so I want to encourage people, don't do what I did and waste so many decades, not thinking about yourself at all, trying to be so selfless that it's good to be selfless sometimes. It's good to do things for other people. But even I used to always look at it that, even when I was doing the most selfless thing, like, encouraging missionaries, going out and working for charity, there was always something for me in it. And I always felt like that was wrong, that this is supposed to be totally outward focused, that there shouldn't be anything for me out of this. And no, that's not it at all. I should be out working to help the homeless because that helps me too. And because it's good for everybody. And so I speak out against religion mostly because of the self-deprecating aspect of it. And I do a lot of picking on people on Twitter as well. And the reason I do a lot of that is sometimes I make some really stupid statements. And people on Twitter will catch it and tell me, okay, I will not use that in a video. I know that is not a good argument. And so I kind of use Twitter as a test place for what I might use in an argument someplace else. So I'm still fairly new to disbelief as well, and so I like to let people know the stupid things that I believed and why I believed them and why I no longer believe them.
I think that's not giving yourself enough credit for the journey you've been through, though, because I think a lot of people, they look back on who they were as a religious person, and I'm a big believer. While I don't believe in fate and destiny and everything happens for a reason, I don't believe in any of that. But I think every single thing, everything you've been through in your life, and it brings you to the place where you are today. You don't discount what you've been through because it has molded you as a person. And I try to think that about myself is like, all of this, crappy stuff happened, but it has brought me to the point where I am in my life today. And, I kind of like it. I think we're, and I think all three of our channels, I think definitely at least one thing that we have in common is that we're all doing this to make sure that people don't feel so alone.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Especially right now.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that we can, you know, take out of this, is that we are, as you know, this sounds like, you know, we're a little full of ourselves and stuff.
We are.
But I mean, in a way, we're all helping people because we're all part of the community and we're all building that community. And I think it's, you know, I think it's a very important thing that all of our channels are doing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. You didn't say anything like 10 minutes, man.
we want to hear from you.
Well, no, I definitely agree with all of those sentiments, and you know, I think that all of us, you know, standing up, using our voice, and speaking out on these various issues, I think are doing a net positive, especially for the community, you know, that we're in. I've gotten numerous messages of people thanking me for, you know, responding to certain videos, or for just being an outspoken atheist from Alabama. I've gotten numerous messages from them, but yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything that both Nathaniel and Susan said, as well as you there, Godless Granny.
We have people who come onto our live streams and thank us, like in live stream, like Priscilla down in South Texas.
Yeah, we do a lot of Periscope stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got my start in streaming.
Yeah,
and it's a very I'm on a I have a fairly, let's just say, negative view of religion in general, and also in particular. And so there are times when there's, you know, some pushback to that from folks, you know. And mind you, I'm also very much like, I have a very hard stance when it comes to equality and equity, and I'm you know, it would take a lot to get me moved from this position. Not that it hasn't happened; she's seen it happen in real time. But what we do, especially like on our channel, but also on our Twitter account, which you're welcome, America, is, you know, we capture different sides of this. The other day, I find this to be the case because I watch your content, both of you. I don't ever watch the content that I make. I never have. Like, I've watched your stuff and I've never watched my own. And we all look at, like, and this happens across the spectrum. You talk about somebody like Manda, right? Mm-hmm. And she's really talking about like the scientific technological advancements and stuff, right? Yeah, like Dave Warnock, I mentioned that. You know, he's talking about this living as an atheist in with a terminal illness, right, or a disease, and you have this like this. It's not just going out and clowning on Kent Hovind anymore, right? Because that doesn't do anything anyways. They don't care. And I'm not saying it's not a worthwhile venture. He was
but it's fun.
He was in a music piece that I put together the other day.
Okay, well,
but you know, we get involved a lot in like the social justice that's inherently lacking within the non-religious community. As I can tell you, I know that, and you should listen to me, because as a straight white atheist, man, I'm right about this.
Well, I don't know. I would pose the argument that there was too much of the other side in the atheist community, the anti SJW. I think that, you know, there for about 3 or 4 years, it's like it just kind of went off the rails a little bit. And ashamedly, I kind of got caught up in that a little bit. Not to the degree that some other people did. But you know, I can admit it now that I do feel like on a few things I was on the wrong side, and so I also have experienced that change of mind sort of in real time.
Yeah.
I do want to acknowledge the super chat from Junie the Apostate, who said, imagine being in a religion for over 40 years like Granny did and then getting out. Are the younger ones lucky? I would say the younger ones are smarter. I sometimes take a long time to get to a particular result. A funny story from my past. I remember, my theology kind of evolved, and as I would discover something that didn't work, I kind of would adjust my theology a little bit to try to fit that. And then eventually the whole thing collapsed. But when I was still in the evolving state, I remember one day vacuuming and saying, the doctrine of the age of accountability, it just doesn't work. And my daughter, who is now a pediatrician, but at the time she was in high school, she said, Mom, you're just figuring that out? I figured that out when I was 11.
Hey, indoctrination's a hell of a drug, it is like we were all of us were Christians, right? I think I didn't remember. I thought I have been an atheist for right at a decade. And Ricardo, thank you for saying that. I'll make sure to create content that goes against that now. And I sometimes consider hell still today because of that, because I was a Christian. And I think that makes this, I'm reading some of like the things that Lisa is writing in the chat too. And some of that's like really heartbreaking. And that's why we matter in that spectrum as well, because I still deal with that sometimes where I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, that sucks. I'll be like in the shower or something. I'm like, I need to turn some like music or something on because I'm getting all of my feelings.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. I wasn't truly indoctrinated in it because I actually was not raised with religion. I turned to it myself on my own at 16.
Mm-hmm. I'm sort of the same way. And I mean, we went to an Episcopalian church, from basically the time I was born until I think it was about 10. I feel like I might have told you this before. My mother has a much funnier deconversion story than I do.
Oh yeah.
Because she said, just total tangent. I'm very, very sorry. My mother said that she did like choir and she was really involved with like our youth group and stuff. And Sunday school and all of the, all of the church related stuff for as much as you can be when you're Episcopalian, that is. And she said she was sitting in the choir loft one day during service and she just sort of had this light bulb go on over her head. And she was like, well, this is bullshit, isn't it? And I'm just like,
wish it was that easy for everybody.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I going?
Well,
I don't remember where I was going.
But
with that. I'm sorry.
well, no, I think part of that is that for some people it's really, really easy.
Yeah.
To be like, oh well, yeah, this is all bullshit. And then for like myself and others, and again, I'm reading some of those comments to where, for me, it was years.
Yeah.
I was, evangelical back before evangelical meant super duper Republican, and I was a youth pastor. She's seen some of the emails people wrote me. They're like, wow, that's cool. I get to call you, youth pastor and stuff. And
I remember where I was going with the thought, so finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so for me to go and do all of that, so there's like this huge spectrum. And I think that when we talk about our shared experiences, that really matters to an incredible swath of people that we're able to, and especially this is what we're mentioning the other day when we're talking about this, get people in those marginalized communities. Who are already alone, are already marginalized, and now are removed from, not because they've been kicked out of something necessarily, but removed from maybe one of the only foundations of society they feel they have left. And now you're talking about literally living inside of a little bubble. I don't know anybody. I'm the only one. It is for the Black and brown LGBTQ plus atheists that live in the American South. I mean, if we don't reach out to them, I don't know. What are we doing?
Yeah. And I think not to entirely diminish what you are saying, because I completely agree. I think atheists in the South in general.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think like with the two of y'all, y'all, I imagine whenever you meet somebody new, that the first thing that they ask y'all is, where do you go to church? Because I know that's how it was in Texas. I can only imagine, it is where y'all live.
Holy shit, they do.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's not that way up here in Oregon. We are incredibly fortunate, incredibly privileged in that sense.
We're the most unchurched city in the country. Feel free to visit, but also don't stay.
Yeah. But not stay like we stay.
Yeah, don't live here. There's too many people here.
Don't do like we did.
You can come visit. Put your feet up for a little bit.
I mean,
well, before I lived here in Alabama, I lived for 26 years in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Fort Wayne, Indiana is called the City of Churches.
Oh my gosh, I bet. Yeah.
You're in so Huntsville. Am I wrong?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. Wow, I just recalled that one from years ago.
That's pretty good.
I remember Interstate 10 going into Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And because I went through Hattiesburg to get back to Dallas-Fort Worth, driving from Jacksonville. In Mobile, literally, I think I have a video of this. There's like a church that's on a corner, and then I turn down this road, and there's like 7 churches on like almost every block. I was like, what are we doing? And some of them are like churches within churches.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Saturday, we have, the Seventh-day Adventists, and on Sunday, we got the Baptists in the morning, and then like the Southern, and then full gospel during the afternoon. Yeah. And I'm like, man, y'all don't.
No chill with church.
They definitely don't play. There's one road here in Huntsville. It's in Madison. You go down it, and there's a middle school. But there's also just church on the left, on the right, just all down the road. Just you can't throw. There's 2 Baptist churches right across the road from one another. Like I can understand like having like a Starbucks on one side and like a Dunkin' Donuts on the other, but this is literally 2 Starbucks facing each other, and like they're competing for the same kind of place. But it's because the congregants, they have their favorite pastors that they like to go to, and if their pastor makes them mad, then all they have to do is go across the road to the other pastor because he hadn't made them mad yet, kind of thing. So it's just like it's if you ever wanted a good example of how churches and religion in general has become a business, just go to any one of these cities that has just churches everywhere, and you will see what people are talking about.
Yeah.
You get First Baptist, Second Baptist, the First Second Baptist. I don't know why there's the First and Second Baptist churches. Is that like in numerical order or something?
Does anybody know? I think it depends on which one was established. Like First Baptist is supposed to be like the first Baptist.
First one that was in town. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm telling John.
Most of the time after someone has claimed the name of First Baptist, other churches will take something different. Like, well, one of the most famous church in all of Alabama is the 16th Street Baptist Church, and it's 16th Street because it's on 16th Street. There's a church called Wall Highway Baptist Church because it's on Wall Triana Highway, and a lot of them are just simply named after the street they're on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we should definitely go about renaming streets then. I can have some
Beelzebub Street.
Yeah. We got
Beelzebub Church of God.
We got Baphomet back here. We can just do that.
So one thing that I wanted to ask y'all, I just realized y'all are GG and G. One thing I wanted to ask the both of y'all is we've talked about how it does get kind of lonely whenever you leave religion, and it is sometimes it's hard to deal with depending on the person. and you do kind of feel like there is kind of a sunk cost thing with, you know, you feel like, and it's sort of like Lisa was saying in the chat, you know, you feel like you've wasted a lot of time and stuff like that. But how did each of y'all go about finding, I guess, did y'all ever find in-person communities whenever y'all left religion?
Well, so for me, I mean, I did find some in-person communities, but you know, I'm kind of introverted, so I mean, I didn't really, I didn't really participate all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if I had been younger and not married at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I probably would have. But yeah, I don't know, because even when even before I got married the first time, I really wasn't into like the whole like group, like doing group things, and I think that was kind of a product of how I was brought up with my family. They weren't exactly the, you know, let's get out and help or do group activities with other people kind of thing. So while I did find one locally, I didn't really participate all that much. Instead, I guess I kind of cultivated a group online of people that I regularly interacted with and everything. And I mean, those are a bit more, I guess you could say, transient, because, you know, it's an online kind of interaction. It's not like a face-to-face, you know them and had dinner at their house or something. It's a bit more transient, I guess. They come and go and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, I just that's kind of the environment that I started off in. And, you know, for me, it wasn't so much that I couldn't think my way out of religion. This is speaking back to an earlier thing. I actually had never been posed with the potential that God does not exist. So I had never even considered the position. And once I considered the position, I was like, how did I believe in this for so long?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, you know, thing.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, sorry, Godless Granny, what about you?
Well, first, you know, I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's the biggest thing that I facepalm over is how did I believe this for so long?
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand why I did too, which is, you know, my biggest demographic for my channel is people in their late 20s to mid 30s, and you know that's the same age as my older children, and a lot of them are looking to me and asking, how do we convince our parents that this is all a bunch of crap?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things that I do is talk about, you know, how I used to believe this and what convinced me that it was wrong, so that people can go tell their parents, hey, this is wrong. One of the things that I've told them is, you know, when Robin came to me and would tell me, you know, Mom, Noah's Ark didn't work, I would listen like any other parent, and then wait for her to leave the room before I look it up.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so when you give your parents some information, then you got to leave them alone and give them some time to check it out themselves, because you're right, they're not going to take your word for it, but
Yeah.
they're not going to look it up until you leave the room, and you got to leave the room before they forget. But anyway, getting back to your question about community, yes, that has been an issue for me, because now actually that's been an issue for me even when I was a believer, because when I was a believer, I was extremely active in my church. I was church librarian. I was in the choir. I was on boards. I taught home Bible study. You know, I did all kinds of things. And anytime the church doors were open, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt kind of like an outsider, because whenever I would invite somebody over for a social, you know, just come have dinner at my house, people would accept and would come and have dinner with me. But then that was it. I never got a reciprocal invitation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always felt like I was never completely accepted, and I never could figure it out. And it wasn't one church, you know, this happened at multiple churches. And I never could figure out. And I do know that I am not the most socially apt person. I tend to be very blunt, and that could be part of it.
That's what I like most about you, though. Like you say it's blunt. I say you're very, very no nonsense. You're very no bullshit, and I really like that.
Yeah, I love your video about COVID and Trump, and he's not actively killing people.
Yeah.
Oh.
I commented on it actually from the DD account.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That was the scariest video I ever made. Because it was a response to Chris Mallard. And I was a little concerned that I might make some waves in the atheist community by responding to an atheist, but even Chris Mallard liked it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he talked about it too, and he did. And I actually like the video too, because you're talking about, one of you said, got one of the shirts and everything, don't hate you. And I really like that. And I really like the concept that you put with your channel. Like, how do you tell your parents, hi there, parent here. And that is so great.
To be clear, he's not a parent.
No.
That was not clear.
But that's something again where you're talking about, like, niches, right? So where not just a niche to where we actually, we gain support, subscribers, whatever. But that we actually, the reason I do something, if I can't grasp onto a certain thing where I'm most effective, right, and where I have the most passion, then I'm just like a ship on the sea without a rudder, right? I'm sure I like all this stuff, but having that ability, I have to tell you, I am just good job with that. You said that. I literally looked over at Susan and I was like, that is such a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing I've heard tonight.
Yeah.
And Susan was talking earlier. So good job. Over top of that.
Well, when it comes to the atheist community and finding community there, streaming. I get more social interaction from streaming than anything else, and that's why I accept a lot of invitations to be on other people's streams, and like with Critical Cripple and Aunt Jen, and that's where I get a lot of my social interaction is from this. I did get involved in a free thinkers group here in the city that meets very close to my house. But I was only there for about 3 months, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh man!
And so I've got to kind of start all over with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to Oregon like the day of. It was,
I left Dallas County, or technically Tarrant County. I left Tarrant County the day that Dallas County was all like, hey, so don't leave.
Yep.
And then I got to Oregon the day that Oregon was all like, hey, don't leave.
Yeah.
So that 3-day drive was one of those, like, this is weird, I don't know what's going to happen sort of thing.
And that's been difficult for us up here.
Yeah.
Because as beautiful as this place is, which it is, and as amazing as the people are, which they are, we haven't been able to experience that. And John, when you say you're introverted, but you make the type of content that you do, then that helps people that are like, I don't know, man, I get stage fright both peeing and on camera. And so for us to be here, it's like we have to try to create relationships differently than we have in the past. And that was the thing we talked about the other day. Even there's a bit of homesickness there, where it's like, man, I just want to be able to look at somebody that I know. And up here, because of this year, it's been incredibly trying. And I think that's because where I work is basically shut down again. And for good reason, in my opinion. I've been calling for that shit that stuff. Sorry, I don't know if you get demonetized. Okay. I don't know how many F-bombs we can get here. Like, how many Hamilton references can I get before we get demonetized?
Actually, the A word, the R word, and we used the A word a few times. So that already, and it won't demonetize. It'll turn you to limited monetization.
Oh, sorry. I'm certain. Make certain.
That's okay. But
So-
you know, I don't worry if I get limited monetization on my streams, because for one thing, I don't do this for the money. But you know, obviously the money is good, and I am thinking very seriously about some major new expense, which is I want to buy myself a new computer. My computer has a 3i processor, and it can't keep up. It, you know, as soon as I get about 30 minutes into a video, my computer is crashing every 5 minutes.
Oh, good. Well, there's one thing that I've noticed. It's that if you have those types of needs, especially if you create the content that we know you do, there is help within the secular.
Well, I know.
Areas.
The thing is, I don't need the money. I can afford the computer quite easily. The only thing is I've got to make sure that I'm really going to stick with it. I would hate to spend that kind of money on a computer and then decide, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I know the feeling. And how do y'all? So, and ow,
Her cat is relentless.
yeah, this cat is not wanting to. Well, she doesn't know what she wants anyway.
Being a cat.
So what? I recently went through not just a period of homesickness, but sort of a period of like burnout, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do you use your name on this on your channel, Granny?
Oh, I have no problem with using my name because I have it out free on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Kelly, you were, you know, incredibly sweet and you know, sort of gave me some advice in the burnout, and I appreciate that so much. I really, really do. GE, he's used your. How often do you use your real name?
Pretty often.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, how do you deal with, like, I guess it's the burnout of it? I realize this is like totally gone off the rails, and I'm very, very sorry, Kelly.
No, that's
but
fine.
How do you deal with the burnout of it?
Well, I find that taking regular breaks is pretty good. You know, not regular or not so much like, you know, taking a month off. But I mean, if you need a month off, definitely do that. For me, you know, I don't know. All of my content has been stuff that I've wanted to do, you know, so I haven't really minded, you know, all of the work that it takes to put out as much content as I do. But I mean, I do experience that burnout feeling. And actually next week, I believe, which is my birthday week.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
I'm
won't get
old.
it again.
You're gonna forget.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
You're not that old.
Forgot.
Yeah. Next week I'm going to be taking off like sometime, because, you know, I've gotten to the point where you know, I feel burnt out. Like I feel it feels laborious to like put together a video, and that's not really what it should be about. I mean, you should really want to do it, you know, because you have fun doing it. Like you have fun recording videos and editing them up and everything. And I still enjoy that. But I've just been feeling, you know, a little discouraged, I guess, which I guess maybe it's primarily because of how I hit really hard with the politics, and I lost about 100 subscribers. and yeah. And so maybe that was it a little bit, but also it's gotten to the point where, you know, I've got to record. I'll usually record 2 videos on the weekend, and then I'll edit them as I need them on the channel, right? I usually edit the video the day before, and then I put it up the day it's supposed to go up. And so at times it gets a little tiresome, but at that point, you know, I really just I find ways to carve out like extended periods where I don't have to, do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for instance, I really only produce 2 videos for my channel a week, as far as recording goes. And so like I record, I record them both at one time. Usually, sometimes I get behind and I'll have to record during the week, but usually on the weekends I can record both of my videos and then I edit them as needed. And so that kind of frees up a lot of time because you're not having to edit, or you're not having to record it and then edit it and then put it up and then do all of the stuff that's required to get it ready for it to be live and then make it live and all that. So I generally try to space out all of my production work. That kind of helps alleviate a little bit of it. But then there are times like on Thursdays and Fridays, I just simply don't have anything that I've committed to really putting up, and so I'll let those days go. Like especially if I've had a good week, I just won't do content for those days. The best advice that I can give as far as burnout goes is that if you feel like you need time away, definitely take that time and rest up. And if you feel like hitting it again, like going back and editing videos, definitely do that. I really think that only the person that either wants to do it or doesn't, and only they can really know whether or not they want to. And another thing that's quite discouraging is like your analytics and how fast you're growing or how fast you're losing subscribers. That could be a pretty that can exacerbate it, like I said before. But you just got to keep in mind that YouTube's a grind, and I've been grinding it out since 2014 or so. And so, I mean, it's a slow grind because my personality is kind of a hard thing to swallow at times. And so I mean, sometimes it is. And that's not exactly widely acceptable to a lot of people. And so I have to take that into consideration whenever I'm kind of judging my analytics to see what I need to do. Oh, thank you, Fran. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, even if they don't agree with you, and we see folks on Twitter, we see folks say shit about us on Twitter too. It's funny. You still have people that know that when you do these things that you're speaking to them, that they matter. I can't tell you how many scripts I write that we never produce. Like probably 90%. There's so many. And I think that one of the things that people don't see if there's not like a lot of content being created, or if they've never done it, is that really how difficult of a process it is. And I say difficult not in that it's difficult to think of what to say, at least like for us, but to like the whole creation process is, and editing, especially editing audio, is one of the most, or it can be, just tiresome type of processes where it's just like this getting through this and everything and eliminating the and we make these noises in the inhale and the exhale and stuff. Sure. You don't want to sound like Paula White and go every time you take a breath. And and so that's
yes.
And so I think that there's a lot of appreciation when people know how it can be to create a script for something, create an edit, especially if you're doing like green screen, and edit that and stuff. And then there's really like these people really care is what we get. And we don't have to really worry about the subscriber thing at this point. Not like that's the thing. We
in that
we obviously, I mean, because what do you got, like 600 or something. Right?
Yeah, 619 last
Really?
time I checked.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Woo!
I don't really keep up with it. I probably should.
I saw somebody in the chat that said they went and subscribed to you today.
Yay!
What? Super sorry.
The only reason I didn't put it up is because there was a typo in it, and I didn't want to put the typo up.
Oh, and prepare to be disappointed on my stuff. Her stuff's amazing. The Explain Like I'm 5 stuff is so important. It is. I don't know if you guys are going to be on that.
I just have fun bullshitting with people for an hour. That's my thing.
Yeah, why so serious type stuff?
I try to have a balance of stuff that's really important to things people really need to hear with things that are fun. Like the video that I did with Momma Atheist on climate change.
Oh, yeah.
That one was really serious, and I did throw a little bit of fun stuff in at the end, but that's not one of the more fun videos that I've done. But the one that I did on that couple, Pumpkin and Harlan, that one was fun. I mean, those two guys are a riot. And the one that I'm working on editing right now is a lot of fun too. And that one, I'm not going to release it until next week because I'm driving to Seattle. I'm leaving Friday. And
that is a long drive.
That is a 3-day drive. Yes.
8 hours to Huntsville.
Wow. Yeah, it's 36 hours of actual drive time if you average 60 miles an hour.
Oh my god!
You got get on 70. Wow. 85 outside of Amarillo.
Anyway, so what I'm going to do is this week I'm releasing the collab that I did with Meredith that she released on her channel a couple days ago, and the one that I'm editing right now I'm saving for next week, and I'm going to release it next week while I'm out of town, and then there's still going to be another week or two before I can get back to make a new video. But I do a pirate in that one, in the one that's coming up.
Now I'm really excited. I have a pirate character, so that whenever I'm driving and stuff, and it's just a character that comes out, I'm excited for that.
Unfortunately, I put my costume together in a matter of 15 minutes, and it was whatever I could find around the house to turn into a pirate costume. It wasn't the best, but I did what I could.
Time to do that shows that you care, though.
Yeah. And I think that's what I admire the most about both of y'all, actually. Kelly, other than your bluntness, I mean, y'all both put, like, you can tell that y'all are putting a lot of yourselves into this, and that both of y'all really, really, like, y'all just put yourselves out there. And I am very sort of, in some ways I'm an open book, in some ways not so much. And that it's sort of harder for me to be able to just sort of lay myself out there. And that's what I really, really love about both of y'all, is that you're very much like, this is who I am.
Yeah, vulnerabilities are important.
Okay. Yeah. John needs to go in just a minute. So before he does, I want to give him an opportunity to shell out for anything that he wants to and any closing comments he wants to make before he has to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely the whole putting myself out there and everything like that was something that I kind of made my way to. It was definitely not natural to me, immediately. If you go back and you look at my very first videos on my channel, I was very awkward. If you wouldn't, it's a stark difference, mainly because I don't shout fuck every 30 seconds.
We do.
Yeah. There's just a really big stark difference. And the more that you do, the more comfortable you get in front of the camera. And I've really worked on myself a lot to be comfortable with myself enough to where, I feel like I can put myself out there and, I can withstand most criticism. there are some things that I take a little bit harder than others, but for the most part, I put myself out there, and then I just laugh off any of the shitty comments that I get. And for a whole year, I had a series I did every single week where I would just take the worst comments, and I would laugh at them. And so I feel like taking the comments that way is therapeutic, but also getting to the point where you're okay enough with yourself and secure enough in your own self to put yourself out there. I think it is a pretty monumental thing. At least I felt like it was monumental for me, especially with me being somewhat introverted and pretty much kept to myself when I was younger. I didn't really put myself out there all that much, and now fast forwarding to now, when I obviously can't hide any kind of emotion that I feel from my face. If you watch any of the debates that I'm in, like, one of the highlights that everybody comments about are my facial expressions, because I think it and then my face contorts in order to express that emotion that I'm feeling or whatever I'm thinking. And so everybody knows when I think something sounds just a little too fucky for me. And that's kind of been like I guess a highlight for me, because I cannot hide what I'm feeling from my face, and so I just kind of let that go out there. So the person that you get on camera is genuinely me, just amped up a little bit. And so I'm not as bombastic or as as vulgar, I guess, in real life.
Sometimes you are.
Sometimes I am. Thank you, honey.
Casey just called you out. I'm just saying.
Sometimes I am, but for the most part, like, if it's a serious situation, I remain serious. When I'm on camera, though, I'm there. I feel like I'm there to entertain and also educate at the same time.
Yes.
And everybody needs a little bit of laughter in their life. So, if I can make a God dick joke reference here or there, and make somebody giggle, I feel like I've accomplished what I've wanted to accomplish. And there have been several times where I've doubted whether or not the content that I produce is really helping anybody or is valuable to anyone. But then I just remind myself that, I get these messages. I get people telling me that, I've helped them personally in some kind of way. I get the comments where people are like, man, I needed that laugh today. And, honestly, as long as I can entertain at least one person, or at least one person finds me funny, which that's always going to be KC, because apparently she thinks I'm hilarious all the time. I feel like I've done what I've wanted to do for the community and for myself. So I guess those would be my final thoughts. And for anybody out there that has just come out of their faith, or has been out of faith for a while, or has been an atheist for a while, the community has rough edges, but we're all here for you. You'll definitely be able to find a space for yourself within the community, and I wouldn't let toxic elements of the community really frame how you view the community. We all have a piece of the community that we can feel secure in, and you just got to find it, is all. So but I appreciate y'all letting me come on here and talk a little bit, ramble and rant. And I hope that all of y'all have a great night. And I guess I will see y'all later. And don't forget to stand up and use your voice.
Bye, John. Yeah, John made a number of good points. You say things and you never know when it's going to hit through. And one of the things that he said that I thought was really important, and it was the most encouraging thing I heard, was when I made my first video. If you go back and watch it, the quality is not good because I didn't know how to adjust the audio, and the audio was way too low. And, I didn't know about, mic distance and things like that. The quality is pretty poor. And yet that's my most watched video because it's a deconversion story, and everybody likes a good deconversion story.
Yeah.
But after I put that video out, Vice Rhino watched it, and he said that his first video was crap. And I thought, if Vice Rhino's first video was crap, and now he's at the level that he is, the quality of his content, I said, I guess if I just keep going, that maybe one day I can get there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've certainly had hours that have been
less than stellar.
Yeah, one of them is simply a video of me having a debate last year, and for me, the video is not as disappointing when I go in and I cut every single thing I say up and say, God, I was horrible at this. But that is something we are getting better at it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I created that 2.5, 3 minute audio loop just the other day, and it didn't take very long to do that.
Yeah.
And that was a fun thing to make.
Yeah. Well,
and
I think learning and growing, and thank you, Sam. Knowing that, and again, this sounds like I'm very, very pompous, and I promise I'm not. Knowing that there's people who want to hear what you have to say, and people who are, listening to you, and you're making a difference.
Yeah.
And that sort of comes back to, why we do what we do. It's, we don't do it for, the comments and the subscribers and stuff like that. We do it because there's going to be somebody who wants to hear it, and there's going to be somebody who, will take something from it.
Yep.
And whether it's something that makes somebody mad and makes them, it's about making people think, and it's about, knowing that it might just be what somebody needs to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I like to think that, whatever it is that somebody has to say, there's somebody out there who, needs to know that they're not so alone in it.
Yep. And that's part of the reason that we do what we do. I have to go as well.
Yeah,
he's gonna
I'm
pull
10
back.
minutes. I'm 10 minutes outside of mine.
Is there anything that you want to say real quick to close? Anything you want to show for?
Well, I've written a script for 2 different videos that might get produced. We'll see. It's been a very trying year.
Mm-hmm.
The joke obviously is the last week has been the longest year of my life type stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something to keep in mind, but also the fact that we are still here matters. And that for me, every opportunity that I'm here is an opportunity to help somebody else get to the position that I have simply for waking up in the morning. And without a forceful impediment that they have put there on purpose. And part of the videos we're doing are for that type of thing. we talk about social justice and we talk about equality and equity. And those videos are there. We go right to the core of things, as we have learned from the individuals and the groups of people who are most hurt by these damaging principles that we put in place. And also, I mean, we talked about voting too. That's actually I'm really excited making that video, because I have a really long joke in it. It's like a 5-minute joke. She's already heard it.
I'm so
and I think it's for me, it is this is a time for me to reflect on the things that I could have done more positively in a year with outside of, I mean, I don't care about the Lakers and Dodgers.
He's a Rockets fan.
I was an Atlanta fan. But when you grow, you know, I'm not a Rangers fan. And to what I could have done more positively in situations that in my life seemingly are the most difficult, or have been this year. And that's for me next year, to be able to elevate others even further. I am very, very excited and thankful for what we have done. In fact, I don't know why but who knows? And I thank people like you for coming in and creating these types of spaces.
Yeah.
That are so important. We have strived to make things like that as well. And it feels really great when other people care.
Yeah.
Or they pretend to. Who knows? And you really figure out when it's genuine. So I thank you for letting me come on. I know Susan's got, whenever you guys get done, she's got stuff she's doing, but I'm actually turning around and working on some of it here in a second. Some of the stuff that I'm making.
Very good.
The biggest thing for me is to smile. Even behind a mask, people can tell when you're smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're happy to see people, they are happy to see you. So do that, and don't let them get you down. That's what they want to do. So thank you again. I'm going to turn around.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, Nate. We dragged Nate into the show at the last minute, so it was really good to have you.
It was truly, truly an honor. Thank you again. I'm going to go over there and drink alcohol while yelling at Nazis.
I would be remiss if I didn't say it at least one. Yeah, go ahead and go, Nate. But I would be remiss if I didn't say two things. One is for the benefit of Junk Shop, if he's still in the chat, is a rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
Cheers. And the other thing is I do have to mention my backdrop. My backdrop is Cybertron, and it is there at the request of Robin. Robin is a huge Transformers fan, and Robin. And so I said, "I'm going to do a green screen background for the first time." And I said, "Robin, what should I use as a background?" And she said, "Cybertron." And I said, "No problem. The theme of the show is why are we here? So Cybertron is the perfect location for why are we here?"
It's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. I love it. Yeah. I try to not take over people's streams, and sometimes it just happens. So what I know you were sort of going into a little bit of why you started your channel and stuff. What would you, if you were to give somebody like an elevator pitch of your channel, what would you say that would be?
I would say that my primary focus is what do I think will help the most people at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I do is I go through YouTube looking for the most egregious stuff that I can find.
Mm-hmm.
And And when I say egregious, it doesn't have to be like Ken Copeland egregious. I mean, that's just dumb.
Mhm.
But egregious as in, what is causing the most harm. And sometimes that's things that are coming against the trans community. And sometimes that's things that are going against the Black community. And sometimes that's politics. And sometimes it's social issues. And so that's why I do talk about a lot of different things. Whatever I see that I look at and I say, that's not right. Somebody needs to speak out against this.
Mhm.
And I probably speak out against AIG more than anything else,
Mhm.
because Answers in Genesis, is absolutely flooding the airwaves with content. Um,
Yeah.
They put out like 4 videos a week, and even with a number of people responding, we can't get it all.
Mhm. Yeah.
Although,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. One of the things I thought was funny is that GE and I both picked the same video to respond to one week.
Oh,
We both did the video on abortion from Red Pen Logic.
mhm. Yeah, there's with AIG, there's like you said, there's just such a flood of stuff, and I think people who are just sort of casual observers don't really realize how damaging so much of that stuff is. And if people are sort of on the fence about some of what they talk about, some of it is incredibly persuading or persuasive.
Yes,
Um,
yes, very much so.
yeah. So if there's just sort of casual observers, then they're just sort of all like, oh, okay, like I'm totally going to think that what they are saying has some weight to it, and they can be sort of, I guess, trying to think of the best way to say that. It's easy to deceive people into
Yes.
thinking that what they have is genuine.
Mm-hmm. Especially when a lot of the people that are speaking on behalf of AIG are people with credible degrees.
Mhm.
Unlike Kent Hovind, who got his PhD from a trailer, a lot of the people at AIG have master's degrees and PhDs from legitimate universities.
Mhm.
And so they definitely sound very persuasive.
Mhm.
Oh, and thank you very
appear
much,
credible.
Judy. I will make sure that Robin gets the money that you sent in on that super chat. Thank you very much, Judy.
I love it. I love it a lot. Yeah, and I think it's very, very important for people to call that out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to make sure that there is pushback against all of that stuff. So I think a lot of people, even if it seems, even if if you and GE are covering the same video, there's still different things that y'all can bring to it.
Yes. And in that video in particular, one of the things that, and I didn't even notice this until I was halfway through my own script, watching the video repeatedly,
Mhm.
which is that Red Pen Logic brought out 3 different quotes from an embryologist and said, see, this is accepted scientific fact within the embryology community. And when I looked at it, no, he had 2 quotes from one book and 1 quote from a second book by the same author. So he had 3 quotes to support him, but they were all from the same person.
But at that point, it's
yeah. You've
It's
got
like a
one
confirmation
opinion
bias
from
thing.
one embryologist.
Yeah. Like and it's the cherry picking of it. And like I said, a lot of people, if they are, like I said, on the fence, or if they don't know a lot about, a lot of the same, or if they don't know a lot about the topic, then they'll say, oh, well, that's somebody who totally knows what they're talking about, so I'm going to just take what they say at face value. So it's very important, and what you're doing and what G's doing and what a lot of people who are responding to that sort of thing, a lot of what they're doing is very important, because like I said, it calls out a lot of that stuff.
One of the other things that I like about doing it is I do have a doctorate degree, but my doctorate is in jurisprudence. And science is not my forte. I don't know a lot of science. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I have learned, the vast majority of what I know about science from YouTube, from Paulogia, from Vice Rhino, from GE, from a number of these people that I listen to. But what I think is interesting is that even with as limited a formal education in science as I have, I can listen to these PhDs in biology and geology at IIG, and I can see that they're wrong. And most of the time, I suspect that they know that they're wrong, but I won't go quite that far as to call them liars. I've seen other people do it, but I don't know. It's possible that they are that self-deceived because they're trying so hard to see it a certain way. But I think that when people realize that it doesn't take a PhD to realize that this isn't accurate.
Yeah. And there's so much cognitive dissonance, I think, that goes on with a lot of those who are attempting to, they want to rationalize a lot of, oh, this is my belief and this is what I'm going to say is the truth. I think they can't quite sort of make the two connect, and they're hoping that their viewers and their listeners aren't able to make a lot of the connections either. And they're, I don't know. I think the just doing the critical thinking of it is a very important thing, and they're relying on people not doing the critical thinking. And I don't know. Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a thing, really.
I want to address something that Lisa for Truth said. I'm not going to put it up on the screen because it's over multiple comments. But Lisa was saying that there's some things that bother her that she has done, and she feels bad about it. And Lisa, I hear you. I understand you. But one thing that happened that really gave me the biggest lift, and it just happened this past week. Robin posted on Twitter something about having the sex ed that he got in high school, which was purity culture sex ed. And I responded with, "And I'm the idiot that paid them to do that to you." And I was really surprised that not only did Robin come in and say, "It's not your fault," one of Robin's friends who also went to the same school and had to go through the same thing said, "It's not your fault." And boy, that just felt so good, seeing that kind of support from the younger generation and that kind of forgiveness for having done this when I myself was so deceived. So Lisa, you were deceived.
Mhm.
And forgive yourself for having been deceived and for not seeing through it sooner, but you finally did. And so now you just use what you've got and go forward and do the best you can with what you've got now.
Right. Exactly. I think there's something that I read or saw, or like I don't remember where I had originally seen it, so I apologize that I can't really give proper credit for it. Make sure the privilege of abstinence.
That's what the teachers told them.
Oh,
Yes, that's
no.
what the teachers told them, that they had the privilege of abstinence only sex ed.
Oh dear. So many words about that. So many words. I think, like I said, I don't exactly remember where I saw it, so I'm sorry I can't give proper credit. But the gist of it was, don't be afraid to cut yourself the same slack that you cut for other people. Like, if you are willing to give other people the benefit of the doubt and you're willing to forgive them for things, don't be afraid to do the same thing for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole, we are our own worst critics, it's a very real thing. And this is something that I struggle with as well. But, don't be afraid to, forgive yourself for a lot of things. And a lot of times it's very much easier said than done. But you've got to be able to, if you had a friend that would say the same things to you that you say to yourself a lot of the time, you wouldn't let them do that. So don't be afraid to just be nice to yourself. Like I said, that's something I struggle with, but I'm more prone to cut people.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone does. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Well, we are getting up on 90 minutes here. We've been going for almost an hour and a half. So it's time for us to wrap it up. And I'm going to let Susan first have a chance to any closing thoughts you might have and anything you might want to shill for.
I guess my main closing thought is there's people out there who want to hear what you have to say, as much as you may not think that that's true. And there's people out there who, may need to hear what you have to say. Oh my God.
That's a great idea. I think I'll do that.
Great idea.
It is a good idea.
And if you want to, I can talk about that stuff as well, so not to insert myself in that, but it's like, yeah, as much as we may not think that there's people who value what you have to say, and, just don't be afraid to make sure that, that you're being heard.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's something that I struggle with.
Use your voice. Yep.
Exactly. That is it's a wonderful and absolutely perfect sentiment. So, shill wise, we have a channel. It is, let's see, Divine Disbelief. Right. It's like I think I can point to it. I think I'm doing it.
There's also a link in the description. There's a link.
Yeah.
There's links in the description for anything that was, I copied and pasted what's on your regular videos, and I did the same for John and for
Amanda.
Oh, I did for Manda too, but Manda never did make it.
Yeah. We have a channel, it's Divine Disbelief. We have a Twitter, that's Divine Disbelief. I have my own Twitter, it's just Motel Cowboy. So I just post cute things. That's all I really post is cute stuff. But yeah, like and subscribe.
And as I said, I am getting ready to drive to Seattle, and it's a 3-day drive. So I'm going to be gone for about 3 weeks. So I will not have another stream again until December 19th. And I am trying to get Dr. Josh on for the 19th. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but hopefully. And prepared videos, like I said, I'm going to release my collab with Meredith. So if you've already seen it, watch it again on my channel if you don't mind. And when I release it later this week. And then the pirate video I will release next week, even though it'll be finished this week. And then there'll be a couple of weeks with no videos until I get back. But thank you everyone for coming to the chat. Thank you for the super chats, Junie. And I will make sure Robin gets the money from the super chat that you donate or that you gave. And Junk Shop, cheers, drinking for the a rising tide raises all boats comment.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And everyone, live your life. Bye.